Welcome to the Band Director Bootcamp podcast, the go-to place for busy band directors who want practical to build programs while maintaining balance in their lives. This podcast is brought to you by the Empowered Music Educator Academy, where we help directors like you find efficiency, sustainability, and impact in your teaching and leadership. And speaking of impact, our platinum sponsor, Kennelly Keys Music, has been serving musicians with a commitment to quality, reliability, and exceptional service. Whether you need top-tier instruments, expert repairs, or trusted advice, they've got you covered. Now, let's dive in and set the tempo for success.
Welcome to another episode of Band Director Bootcamp, the podcast with productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors. I'm your host, Lesley Moffat, and I'm really grateful to be sharing this platform with you. As busy band directors, we know you don't have time for lengthy development webinars, so we bring you 20-minute tidbits with takeaways you can use to support you in this awesome career. And today we're going to talk about how to get fit in less time, both mentally and physically. And I talk about wellness all the time, but I don't know that I really dive into a lot of specifics. We talk about why it's important and what can happen if you don't do certain things. But, today we're going to talk about how to do some of those things, sort of like the techniques that we practice with our students, the fundamentals, so that we can put it all in a big picture. And to do that today, I've got a guest. His name is PJ Glassey, and he comes to us as a fitness innovator entrepreneur, and he's the founder of X Gym. He's had over 35 years of experience and has helped thousands of busy people, just like band directors, help develop efficient, safe, and sustainable wellness habits. And his unique methods are backed by science and fueled by his personal mission that was sparked by his mom's early onset Alzheimer's diagnosis. So, PJ, thanks for coming here and nerding out with me about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I actually have quite a music background. I was in choir in high school and then moved up to the cantori, which is the elite small group singing. And then I did choir, and then I did a barbershop quartet in college, and a whole big, huge band where we had instruments and singers and everything, where we did 50 songs and Beach Boys stuff. So it was just a blast. But because of all the choirs that I've been in, I've been on a lot of band trips and choir trips. And so I totally get the stress and everything that band directors and music directors go through, seen it firsthand. And it's no joke.
Yeah, well, I did not know that part. I should have asked you about that. But yeah, so you really can understand what we're dealing with here a lot too. So, and I like talking about this kind of stuff because a lot of the things you're going to talk about today are things that made the difference between the path I was going down health-wise and where I am today. It was life-changing stuff. And so I encourage people to listen up if you're like, I just can't do it. It's too hard. I don't have time for this. You got the headphones on. You're listening to us now. We're going to take a few minutes and talk about that. And our first problem that busy band directors have is we just don't have time. Okay. It's a constant go, go, go. There's a high cognitive load we're carrying and very little downtime. And then, we all think, oh, you got to go to the gym for a fancy membership, or I got to have the membership and the right clothes to wear. And then you have to go spend an hour a day there. And then you're already burned out and stuff is hard and it makes it hard to start, let alone continue a habit. So could you please tell us how to fix all that in the next couple minutes?
Yeah. I only have 2 minutes. So, well, luckily we have a 21-minute workout. So after I got out of college, I became a personal trainer. I got my degree in exercise science, and then I was a trainer out of people's homes mostly. And I developed a new methodology because I wanted to save people time. And so the workout that I designed turned out to be 21 minutes, and it's just twice a week. So for 42 minutes a week, people get the same benefits as they would if they were to do 7 hours of traditional training at a gym. So it's a huge time hack. And the workouts are 21 minutes for a full body, and that's what we do at the X Gym and also on our online training where we train people all over the world. But we also have an app. And the app is videos that people can select and filter and organize that are 3 minutes a piece. There's 21-minute workouts on there, but there's also 3-minute workouts on there. And I call those exercise snacks because it makes a huge difference. You can get a full fatigue workout for a particular muscle group in 3 minutes. So, and because the people that come to X Gym are super busy people. So I understand them. And sometimes all they have is 3 minutes. But they just whip out the app, select an exercise, and get to it. And it's so short that they don't get all sweaty. And so they can do it with their work clothes on.
That matters.
Yeah. And sneak them in here and there. And the cool thing about exercise snacks, and it doesn't have to be just mine. There's nothing particularly magical about my exercise. You can just jump up and down for 3 minutes, do Jack LaLanne moves for 3 minutes. It doesn't really matter. It's just getting the blood flowing, because oxygen to the brain resets the brain. It gets you back in a good state. It also, 3 minutes of exercise drastically reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, all sorts of things. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, force yourself to take a break. You can either take a break with breathing exercises or some exercise, and even a minute makes a big difference. As long as it's enough exertion, 1 minute, research shows, is enough to give you an energy boost, reset your brain, get out of fight or flight, because band directors are in fight or flight a lot. I saw it for myself. There's a lot of pressure. And especially on these trips, concerts are one thing, but then when you take these band trips and choir trips, that's a whole nother thing, because you're herding cats for a week or however long it is. And you've got all the concerts, and it's just really overwhelming. So you really have to take time for yourself. You have to make everything stop, because you're in control of it stopping. You can make it stop, and you can find 1 minute somewhere to do breathing or jumping jacks or something to get centered again, because that's really what it's about. And my favorite breathing technique, if that's the choice, is box breathing. That's where you breathe into 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold empty lungs for 4 seconds. Rinse and repeat. And as you do this, you'll notice the first one is really hard to do, because when you breathe, it's hard to go slow enough. Because if you're in fight or flight, you're probably going to be breathing in the top half of your lungs, and it's going to be really fast breathing. But when you do this box breathing, you're forcing yourself to slow down and get centered, and breathing into 4 seconds, then full lungs, hold for 4 seconds. You'll notice on the first breath, that's hard too. It doesn't sound long, but it feels for like forever if you're in fight or flight. And then controlling the exhale for 4 seconds, and then staying empty lungs for 4 seconds. And then it'll take you 3 or 4 cycles to actually get into this rhythm and to understand how. But then once you do, you're out of fight or flight. Now you can think clearly, because when you're in fight or flight, you're trapped in your amygdala, which is the emotional part of the brain. When you get out of fight or flight, your PFC, your prefrontal cortex, comes back online. Now you can think rationally, logically. You can think ahead, and this is where we need to be in our PFC. We need to get out of our amygdala and into our PFC, and this is the fastest way to do that. Exercise also, jumping jacks for a minute, that'll do it too. But getting oxygen to the brain and getting out of that fight or flight is key to getting centered and then being able to think clearly.
And let's take it a step further, because our kids come in fight or flight every day. And I've talked about it before on this podcast, and I'll say it again. I start my class every single day of every single class with 4 minutes of that guided breath work to physiologically slow their bodies down, to get their heart rates to slow down, to get the whole space to go from like a snow globe that's shaken up to just calmness. With middle schoolers, or high schoolers. But that breath, and as musicians, whether we're singing or playing instruments, we have to have that breath support, the access to our full lungs. And like you said, when you first start, it's that shallow breathing. We have to stretch it out, like the balloons have to be stretched out. And it also takes time for our minds to settle in. So it gives us something to pay attention to. So this was one of the big changes I made in my life, one of the first ones, because it helped me get centered enough to do the next steps.
Yes.
And so this is just so many great things about all this and what it can do for us. It literally changes our body chemistry. That's a powerful thing. And for our learners, when we do this on a daily basis, and I add to it, I play 528 hertz over my PA system.
Oh,
so
that's good.
Sound so between that vibration in the room and that breath work that we do, it's changes things when middle schoolers or high school kids come running in a room and all the things happening. And then just for a few minutes, we settle in, and then we start from the same place every day instead of various forms of chaos. Before a concert, we do the breath work. So we start on the concert stage the same way we do in class, so we don't get so nervous. So all these things you're talking about, there's this, it's sometimes as teachers, we have to, if I'm doing this, does it benefit my students? Right? Well, yes, it will. But you know what? First and foremost, it has to benefit you. You can't teach kids to play instruments if you can't do it really well. So if you can't, if you want your students to come in and be calm and focused, you've got to have a way to do that too.
Bingo. You got to, just like being on the airplane, you got to put your mask on first before you help the person next to you.
Very true.
And what a gift. What a gift to be able to give your band to take them through this and calm them down too. I mean, you're teaching them a skill. This is a life skill, and it's not hard to do, but it is a learned skill. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So it improves with practice. It becomes more effective with practice. And if we can give this to our band, some of them have stage fright still. Well, boom, you can get out. That's fight or flight. Anything you can do to get them out of fight or flight, you're just giving them this huge, and every time they do it, they get better. Their stage fright gets a little less, and eventually it just goes away.
Just like the playing of the instrument. At first, those lip slurs are not very good, but the more and more they practice them, the muscles are trained what to do. My kids hear that 528 hertz before they even start the breath work, and it's like their bodies respond by just physically relaxing. You can just watch their shoulders and their posture. Yeah, because we practice it every day, and I have kids year after year after year. So some of them have done that 1,000 times with me, like between all the years. So anyway.
Well, one more thing, with that breath work, what I tend to do is to tell people while they're doing it, once they get into the rhythm, because first you have to concentrate on the rhythm and just get into it. But then once you get into it, now it's natural. Your heart rate's slowed down. Your breathing is slowed down. It's not hard anymore. You're out of fight or flight. Now think about gratitude or love. Somebody that you love or somebody who loves you. It could even be a pet. Just get in a state of gratitude and or love as you're doing this, and boom, now you are coherent, which is even a bigger step than just getting out of fight or flight. Now you're in a state that is actually the flow state. And we need to be in that. In a performance, we have to be in flow. We can't be in stage fright or fight or flight. We got to be out of that, and we have to be in flow, and that's the way to do it.
Oh, 100%. This is stuff I really learned about years ago when I was going through changing from the unhealthy version of me to where I am now. And I was shocked because I just thought, well, however you're built, that's just what's going to happen for life. I didn't realize how things can change. And I had to make some choices. It was hard to make changes, but it was hard to be sick all the time too, and to feel like crap. So I chose the hard I chose has better payoff. So I want you to talk a little bit about something that for teachers individually, but also for us working with students about brain training for motivation and habit forming. How can we rewire our brains to actually crave the wellness behaviors? Yeah.
So I think the easiest technique, I've got about 30 techniques, and they're all embedded in my brain type test. But the easiest one I think for people to do is what I call them declarations. A lot of people, other people talk about affirmations, and where they say things, they say a certain phrase to help motivate themselves. But I think it needs to be more emotional than that. And that's why I call them declarations, where you're declaring something and you're declaring it as if it has already happened. in the present tense, imagining that it's already happened. So like a band director would be, I am in flow. It's easy to get into flow, and the feeling is amazing. And the energy that I feel and the power that I feel when I'm in flow right now is so amazing. And so you're saying these declarations as if you're already there. And you can say them in the moment, like I just gave an example, or you can write them down kind of for a life statement of something that you want to get better at. And then you post it on your bathroom mirror or refrigerator or whatever, wherever you're going to walk by and see, to remind you to say it out loud. And then when you do, whatever that statement is, you do it with emotion. So you're emphatic. That's why it's a declaration. You say it with your voice out loud, emphatically, emotionally, because what you're doing is you're training your subconscious brain. The subconscious is the boss of us, and that's the way it is. We can't change that. The subconscious also operates at about the level of a 3-year-old. So anything that works on a toddler works on your subconscious. Your prefrontal cortex is the parent brain, and that's the part of the brain that trains the toddler. And so since it's going to be in charge, we might as well just train it. And declarations, even affirmations, are very effective if you use enough emotion, because talk to it like you're talking to a toddler. Because when we do that with the toddler and we overact, like a good preschool teacher, the toddler just loves it. And the toddler's buying into everything, even though we're acting, even if the thing that we're saying we don't actually mean. So we pick a declaration that we don't really feel we could even achieve in the future. But if we say it enough with enough emotion, the toddler starts to believe that we can. And since that's the part of the brain that's in charge of us, now all of a sudden it starts happening.
Yep. It's all about feeling, how you're feeling. Yeah. Yep. 100%. Yep. Nothing else matters there. Oh, we could talk for months on this, I think.
Yeah, we could.
But we're going to keep them to our time here. But I want to, before we finish up with a couple more questions, I do want to take a minute to do a shout out to our podcast sponsors, the Empowered Music Educator Academy and Kennelly Keys Music. If you're listening to this while thinking about everything still on your to-do list, I see you. One of the reasons I started building tools alongside this podcast was because even the best strategies don't help you if you're too exhausted to implement them. That's exactly why I created Band Director Buddy GPT. It's a productivity and wellness tool designed to think like a successful band director and support the real work behind the scenes, the planning, emails, scheduling, and problem solving, and more, so you can amplify your impact without increasing your workload. If you're a busy band, choir, or orchestra teacher who wants a sustainable way to do this job, you can learn more at banddirectorbuddy.com. All right, we are back with PJ Glassey. We got just a couple minutes here. And I just want to ask, now you've told us what to do, but now we're going to get real. How do you balance being an entrepreneur, running a gym, apparently grandparenting in there, staying healthy, all the cool things, running or doing the app and be super busy and stay healthy? How do you do it?
Delegation. So it's really hard for me to do that because, I, like most people, I'm a control freak. And so I want to do everything myself because it's going to be done quicker and better. But just helping people and handing things off is the whole, because I have 2-year-old grandson now, and I've got a granddaughter coming in mid-September. And so I am really dialing back a lot of my work. And so I have to delegate. It kind of forced me to. So it made me learn how to do it and better, and to just release things, because yes, they don't get done as well as I could, but so what? I mean, if it's 80%, that's a huge win, because that's good enough and everybody else is happy. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so forcing myself to give stuff up and let go of things so I can have more time with my grandson and just change my lifestyle was great. I mean, his name's Miller, and he did me a huge favor by forcing me to do that, because it was always my intention, and I always kind of did it, but because I had time and I could be a workaholic, I didn't do it very well. But then when my priorities changed and I could be less of a workaholic and spend time with Miller, then I had to do this. So I'm training people better to do things that I hand off, but I'm also releasing and being okay with 80% or even 70%, because that's good enough for the business. It doesn't not everything has to be perfect. It can be.
And every band director out there is like you, it sounds like.
Oh, totally. And even in a concert, if it's 80%, you're going to notice, right? But 97% of the audience will not. And there's 3% of the audience that will notice because they're band directors and they'll totally understand. Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so if we can release a little bit and just relax a little bit, then it's better for us too, because then we're less stressed and we're releasing less cortisol, which is unhealthy and all that kind of stuff.
And it's hard. And learning to let go in little steps with a booster program or asking for help is hard, but it's an essential part of life. We tend to think, a lot of us like this, we're the problem solvers. We're the ones that can do it. Sometimes it's easier to do it ourselves than to explain to somebody what they need or we need. But
totally.
But we can get that. So before I let you go, I'm fascinated by your app and the fact that people can do the workouts or just 3-minute snippets. Tell us more about how we can find out more about what you've got to offer.
Yeah, it's easy. xgym.com, xgym.com. And right there you can see, we do the in-club training, we do the online training, we have the app. And then the brain type test is braintype.me for people that want to find out their brain training superpowers. Each brain type gets half a dozen. And then you literally use those to rewire your brain. So you think differently and then have different results, because you're thinking differently, then acting differently, and then different results are happening.
Oh, that's fantastic. Awesome. Well, we'll put the links in the show notes so you guys can just grab them really quick. Check it out. It was funny just before we started the podcast, I just casually said, "Where are you from?" PJ's from 20 minutes down the road from me. So all you local band directors, Seattle area folks, you can check out X Gym out there in Kirkland. So, hey, thanks a million for being here today, PJ.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Lesley.
All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Band Director Boot Camp. Thanks to our guest, PJ Glassey, and to all of you out there who keep showing up to teach music every day. Remember, success in music education isn't just what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you. Thanks for listening, and keep making a difference in kids' lives through the magic of music education.
Before you go, I want to leave you with this. You don't need to work harder to be effective. You just need better support. Band Director Buddy GPT was created for music educators who care deeply about their programs but are tired of carrying everything alone. It's there to help you think through challenges, streamline the busy work, and protect your time and energy without lowering your standards. If that sounds like what you've been craving, head to banddirectorbuddy.com to explore how it works and decide if it's a good fit for you. Thanks for listening to the Band Director Bootcamp podcast and for the work you do every single day.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Band Director Bootcamp podcast. Remember, success in music education isn't just about what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you. The Empowered Music Educator Academy is here to help you do just that. So be sure to check out our resources at empowerededucator.com. And of course, a huge thank you to Kennelly Keys Music, our platinum sponsor, for their unwavering support of music educators like you. Whether you need instruments, accessories, or expert advice, their team is ready to help. Thanks for listening and keep making music happen.